Welcome. Today, we are breaking down a universal blueprint for seriously powerful communication. This is a framework that's designed to make sure your messages don't just get heard, but that they actually connect with people, persuade them, and most importantly, inspire them to act. So let's dive right in.
So let me ask you a question. What could Star Wars, the next video you make for your brand, and even your biggest personal goal possibly have in common? I mean, on the surface, it seems like not much, right? But what if I told you that they all secretly rely on the same hidden architecture, a powerful structure that guides people on a journey of transformation? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that structure and show you exactly how to use it.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the absolute core engine of any message, your why. Then we'll pick a map for our story, learn how to design the message so the human brain actually pays attention, craft the message itself, and finally, we'll talk about how to turn all of that into real, meaningful action.
First things first, every single powerful message, every inspiring leader, every brand that has changed the world, they all start in the same place. And it's not with what they do, it's with why they do it. This right here, this is the foundation for absolutely everything else.
You've probably heard of Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, and for good reason. It completely flips traditional communication on its head. See, most of us and most companies communicate from the outside in. We start with what we do, maybe we get to how we do it. But the truly inspiring leaders and brands, they do the exact opposite. They start right in the middle with their why, their purpose, their cause, their core belief.
And this quote just nails it, right? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. We connect with people and brands that we feel share our values. It's not about the features on a spec sheet, it's about the purpose behind the product. That's how you build real, lasting loyalty that goes way beyond just one sale.
And this right here really shows you the difference. On one side, you have manipulation. Things like dropping prices, running promotions, using fear. Yeah, that stuff might get you a quick win, but it never lasts. On the other side, you have inspiration. And that's what starting with why creates. It builds this long-term connection that's based on shared values, which, is the absolute bedrock of trust.
So you're probably asking, okay, how do I find my why? Well, it all comes down to your core values. These are the principles that are just non-negotiable for you. When you get crystal clear on what those are, they become this amazing filter for every decision you make. They become an anchor that keeps every message you send out authentic and consistent.
Okay, so we've found our why. We have our purpose. Now we need a structure to give it some shape. We need a map for our story, an architectural blueprint that's going to guide our audience on a journey from where they are now to where they want to be. Every great story you've ever heard has one of these. It's this invisible framework that makes the story feel satisfying and complete. Doesn't matter if it's an ancient myth told around a campfire or a 90-second explainer video on your phone, a strong narrative blueprint is what makes it work.
And probably the most famous story blueprint of all time is Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. You know this one. A hero is living their normal, ordinary life, and then they get a call to adventure. They go out, they face all these huge challenges and trials, and in the end, they return home, but they're transformed. I mean, think Luke Skywalker, Frodo, Harry Potter. It's this timeless, epic map for stories of transformation.
Now, let's look at a much more modern map. This one's designed for today's high-impact videos. It's super practical. It starts by hooking the audience with their problem. That's their call to adventure. Then it introduces a solution, explains why it works, tackles their doubts head-on, and finally gives them a super clear call to action. It's direct, it's efficient, and it is incredibly effective.
And here it is. This is the big aha moment. These two maps, they're really telling the exact same story. That modern explainer script, it's just a condensed version of the hero's journey. But in this story, your audience is the hero. Their problem is the challenge they have to overcome, and your solution is the reward that's going to transform their world.
Okay, so we've got our purpose and we've got our map. But you know what? None of that matters if no one is actually paying attention. So the next question is, how do we design a message that works with the human brain instead of against it?
Well, Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman talked about two systems in our brains. System 1 is that fast, automatic gut reaction part of our brain. System 2 is the slow, logical, effortful part. Now, most of us try to communicate to that logical system too, but to even get there, you first have to get past the gatekeeper, that lightning-fast, intuitive System 1. And look at those processing speeds. It's no contest.
So how do we appeal to that super fast System 1? We use these 6 attention triggers. Our brains are literally hardwired to notice things that are personal to us, things that show a clear contrast, that are tangible, memorable, visual, and emotional. These aren't just fluffy ideas. These are powerful, science-backed tools you can use to engage anyone.
And if you want to see just how powerful these triggers are, just look at this number. When you pair information with a relevant visual, the amount of that info someone remembers 3 days later jumps from a measly 10% all the way up to 65%. That is a huge difference. And it's because our brains are, at their core, visual machines. Showing is almost always better than just telling.
All right, now we get to the what, the actual words we're going to use. We have our purpose, we have our structure, and we understand the science of attention. So let's use all of that to craft a message that is concrete, sticky, and totally unforgettable.
One of the absolute best ways to make your message stick is by using metaphors. And look, they're not just fancy, decorative language. They are powerful tools for the brain. They make abstract ideas tangible, visual, and emotional, hitting all those attention triggers we just talked about.
Just think about these examples. Shedding old skin. You immediately get a picture of this profound personal transformation. Building a new spine. Wow, that makes an abstract idea like setting boundaries feel physical, real, and strong. Metaphors create instant understanding and a deep emotional connection.
And here we are, the final step. And you could argue it's the most important one. Because a truly great message doesn't just inform people or entertain them. It inspires them to act. It actually changes things. This is where the call to action, or CTA, comes in. It's that specific moment where you tell your audience exactly what you want them to do next. You know, without a clear CTA, you're really just sharing information. But with one, you're creating a pathway for genuine, real-world change.
So what makes a CTA great? Well, the best ones are, first, crystal clear, no confusion. Second, they're compelling. They give you a good reason to do it now. Third, they're easy, removing any barriers. And finally, they're direct, using strong, action-oriented verbs.
So there you have it. We've walked through the entire blueprint. We started with our why, we chose a narrative map, we designed for the brain, crafted a sticky message, and finished by inspiring action. This framework is such a powerful tool for any communication challenge you face. So I guess the only question left to ask is, where will your story lead?